Good morning, Australia. Two old rockers together, me and Jimmy Barnes. Barnesy, good to see you.
How are you, mate?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, it's been a quiet sort of week for you, I guess. Not much happening.
Not that busy, not a lot happening. So, you know, just 4 or 5 billion people to play to, you know.
What was the feeling like? I know you've told me off here. Just explain on here.
It was just unbelievable. I mean, for a start, just to be asked to do something like that, you know, the honour to be a part of something like that was great. But being there on the night, it was unbelievable. The vibe, I mean, we didn't get to run the show. They were running on the skin of the teeth. There was like pure faith that got everybody through. We didn't run the whole show. Nobody knew what was going on. The doors opened at 4:30. They were still painting the stage at 4:15. So, you know, it was one of those sort of shows where it was just everybody. The only thing that pulled it through was everybody's just great, you know, the energy of the whole thing.
That's amazing, though, because the coordination on camera, I mean, of course, I mean, you know,
it was the odd mistake, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, really...
Coming to me was a big mistake.
Very much together. When were you asked? When did you know you were doing it?
I've known for a long time. I was one of the first people on the bill that knew, and that was, I don't know, 6, 8 months ago.
Did you sign a contract of confidentiality? You can't tell me that you signed on. Because somebody else in the studio who happened to write one of the songs...
No, I had to, actually, yeah.
Did you? Yeah, well, so did John. So you weren't lying at all, John?
No, that's right. No, I was not allowed to breathe a word to any person.
We can talk about this.
Yeah, that's right, yes. As a matter of fact, the two of you are members of a very exclusive group now, aren't you? Pains in the arse. No.
I was wondering where you're going there.
No.
I'm thinking songwriting sort of Olympians.
Well, John wrote the Flame, of course, as you know. We've got footage, but as you understand, with the Channel 7 situation and copyright in the Olympics, we're very lucky on GMA to have some footage of you there on the night itself. That's what we've had to run all week.
Get the bill for that?
Yeah. Jim, with a situation like that, singing in the closing ceremony and the buzz that's, you know, followed on from Sunday, it's a terrific time to have a brand new album out, isn't it?
Funny you should say that. It was accidental, actually, believe it or not. I thought this would be done and the album would be coming out later, but as it happens, I got the album finished really quick, so I have an album that's really great that's about to come out, and there couldn't have been a better platform to launch it. Although I didn't really want, you know, I didn't want to use the Olympics to do that.
But if it happened, it happened.
It just so happens now that you got me here.
The album is called Soul Deeper, and it is a ripper. For all Jimmy Barnes fans watching us this morning, I think most of the fans of Barnesy concede that you're singing better now than you've ever sung. There must be, your life must be in a pretty good state for you.
Well, I feel good about it. You know, particularly with a record like this, where I just went and used like a lot of the players were the guys who played on the original sessions. There's like, you know, the drummer was 61. He played with, you know, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, the Temptations, you know, Arthur Conley, you name it. He played with them. The bass players played with Stevie Wonder for 10 years. There was they had so much to teach me. They just played in this groove that was so easy to sing. I got there. It's probably, for me, it was like I walked away feeling like it's the first time I'd sang soul.
Yeah.
You know, it was the first time I felt like I really, you know, had that much room and that much dynamics to be able to sing properly. So I learned a hell of a lot singing on this record. So
it's terrific. Recommended to you. And apart from Jimmy this morning on the show, Yothio Yindi is going to join us. It'll be great to have them performing for us. Jade Hurley is here. My God, we're going to find about the lost ring, I suppose, once again. Morris Gleitzman and Paul Jennings, our very special guests this morning. We welcome them both to GMA. Shane Bourne is going to video review, and he's video reviewing a great movie this morning, The Green Mile. And Philip Breakney is here with his milestones and tombstones. The other member of the clan is our music director, Mr. John Foreman. Good morning to you, John. It is now actually, it is a part of our legal contract here at the 10 Network. We have to give you at least 48 hours notice when John is not going to be here, and he's going to be replaced by Mr. Alan Zavod. So we're giving you more than 48 hours notice. John is not going to be here on Monday, but Mr. Zavod is. Yes. Mr. Zavod, good morning to you and welcome back.
Good morning.
There he is in his own inimitable fashion style there, casual terrible. And it'll be great to welcome Alan on Monday, but we'll have some fun with John today. In the meantime, welcome Barnesy back to GMA officially. I was just thinking, Jimmy...
I'm glad to see I wasn't the only one you're insulting here. You get the whole cast.
We've built 2 hours of this every morning. With this, it's a... I was thinking about the original one, and that's got to be 7 or 8 years ago.
It was 9 years. It was 91. 91 it came out, so, you know...
So why so long?
Well, you know, I was busy, like, writing other records. I was making records. This record came up as sort of it was a spontaneous thing in a way. You know, there's people wanted me to make this record and say, you know, jump in and cash in on Soul Deep 1. I didn't feel like making the record. I didn't sort of have the idea of the songs. I didn't, you know, have that inclination. it came up when I finished with my label Mushroom and I moved on to Warner's. I was trying to think of a great way to start my relationship with Warner's, and one of the guys suggested we do the follow-up to Soul Deep. And for me, this, you know, it immediately relieved all pressure for a record, because all I had to do was go and make a record that I loved.
Yeah, sure. We're watching here some of the vision, and of course Ten has done a doco on the making of the album. We look forward to seeing that later in the year. You made mention then of moving from Mushroom.
Yeah.
Michael Gudinski, who really intrigues me. I've got the highest respect for him, greatest admiration. That still remains as the biggest selling album of all time for Mushroom, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah. It was a funny thing because I recorded that album just like it was for fun at home. It took me 12 days. Michael was going, nah, you don't need a bloody record like this, mate. You don't need a record like this. And we just had it sitting there, and eventually he released it, and it became the biggest selling record on Mushroom's catalogue. And of course now Michael says to me, oh yeah, I love that record. I always told you to do that bloody record.
Exactly.
So
did you have a good relationship though? You and
no, I was with Michael last night. He's one of my best friends. He's the guy is a lunatic. He's an absolute crazy, and that's his good points.
Yeah.
But he's just a great guy, and he's done so much for this part, this music industry here. It's just incredible. So even though I'm not working with him, I still can't help praising him. He's up there doing great things.
When you look back on Cold Chisel, great experience. In many respects, of course, it was the one band that really broke down a lot of barriers in Australia.
Well, we were at a time when music was breaking down a lot of barriers, and we happened to be in front there with a lot of other people. Yeah.
But in Australia, though, I mean, you really did it, not alone, but I mean, it was certainly one of the high venture things. Good memories for you?
Hardly any memories, actually. No. Could you tell me about it? No, it was a great time. I mean, it was a great rock and roll band. It was one of those bands where it was just, when it fired, it was probably, there was nothing like it in the world. I don't think there was a rock and roll band that can touch it in the world. Yes. Of course, we had our moments when we didn't fire, but luckily we were that good. We'd sort of had our standard, our lowest standard was pretty high. Yeah. So, if any one of us ever sort of dropped and fell or collapsed, the other ones would carry it, So it was a terrific band.
Let me just fix that microphone for you. I'm not getting fresh. There you go.
I thought you. Now you've done it.
No, that's it. Beautiful. Actually, he keeps wanting to get down there. What's down there? We'll never know this morning.
You'll never know.
Jimmy, is it... was back then, in the days of Cold Chisel, was it possible to make great music without some help from maybe imbibing or little, rock and roll sort of fun?
What are you trying to say?
Drugs.
No, well, listen, Don Walker never took drugs when he was writing and stuff. He only took them when he was walking. No, I mean, he's a straight guy. I mean, there's inspiration comes from being inspired. It's being in spirit. It doesn't necessarily come from drugs. You can see glimpses of spirit, through drugs. The only way to find it is real look in yourself. Yeah. Inspiration is there all the time. You just got to look for it. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, sometimes you're on the road. Things happen. Shit happens. A lot of people take drugs. A lot of people do stuff. A lot of people drink. For Christ's sake. But it's not necessarily what drives a show. Normally what drives a show is the chemistry of the band, chemistry of the players, and the interaction between that and the audience. So if you get a good band, it doesn't matter if they're feeling completely knackered. You put them in front of a good audience, they come up with the goods, No drugs, no nothing.
And I suppose at any level of music, any genre of music, is that we've talked about just recently on the show, actually with Barry Crocker in his field of music. If you
heavily into drugs, though.
Actually, it wasn't Barry. It was Gene Pitney, who was on the show, and we were saying that you still got to have that love of music. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what you do, and a lot of that thing. I was reading the book with the Beatles where they were taking speed, from 1959 till they found acid. Yeah. I mean, like cheap. I mean, it was like that sort of thing. They were doing 6 sets a night in clubs for 7 nights a week, and we've all worked in the entertainment industry. You know how hard it can be, and doing road trips like that. People did stuff. Some of them survived it and got over it. Some of them didn't.
Watching that footage there,
I'm looking forward to it.
of Cold Chisel. You look so much like your son, David Campbell, in that footage. I'm not too sure now, has it been released officially that he's doing Shouts?
I've seen press releases. I spoke to him about it the other night,
Right.
He was yelling at me. Well, I see you got the part.
Yeah. So you're happy for that? I mean,
no, I think he's perfect for it. I think he's really good. He's a really talented boy. I think he's just waiting to, he's really waiting to burst out and do some other things. I think he's got a lot of talents that he hasn't shown yet, whether that be musically or acting. I'm not, I think he can do anything he wants. He's good, Cheap off the old block. He's one better, though.
Yeah.
He's the next
Do you believe
model.
that?
No, definitely.
For what reason?
Well, he's like version 2.0. He's upgraded the software. You know, he you know, genetically he's learned from my mistakes. You know, but whether he likes it or not, you know, this genetics has got so much to answer for. He's so much like me, considering when he was younger we didn't spend a lot of time together. But he's the same problems that I come up against. He's solving them when he was like 16. You know, I'm sort of coming up against them like in about an hour.
Are you close?
Very close, very close. We get on really well. You know, I'd like to be closer. Obviously, with the work, we keep being apart, and he's got his own things to deal with. He's trying to stay with his girl, who's they're both working. So it's we'd like to be a lot closer. But you know, he knows he can come to me about anything, and vice versa.
Do you know something, Jimmy? I think the thing that you certainly have in common, apart from the music thing, even though basically different genre, that you both give value. We've had David on the show a number of times. Exactly.
He's passionate, and I think that's the thing. That's why people, you know, like what I do, because like whatever, you know, when I throw myself into it, you know, it's like you do things, you have to do it with passion, otherwise don't do it at all. And I think David's like that naturally as well, which is a good thing. Of course, that can be, you know, you have to sort of control that a bit.
Sure. Congratulations on the album. This is going to walk out of the shops, I'm sure. Jimmy Barnes, Soul Deeper. It's been great to have you on the show, and I believe at one stage of the game you lived in the same province in France as Mr. Gabriel Gaté.
And we had dinner in my house together. I cooked for him.
Did you really?
It was very, very tough.
Let's find out if you were a good cook. We'll go over and say hello to Gabriel.